What's up, everybody? Fortefyre here. I just wanted to take the time before the episode proper begins to sit down and say thank you for hitting and celebrating this major milestone with me, the 100th 10 Games episode, which is funny because I never expected to get more than 2 videos out of this series. You know, that's how it is. Way back when, I only expected 5 to 10, 20 views from a video, and 15 were probably going to be me, just, you know, watching my stuff back. So thank you to the entire firefighter community for being there since day one of becoming a partner and allowing me the opportunity to get to know every single one of you. And thank you tremendously for sharing your experiences and your memories with me. I love the community that we fostered over this short time, and I look forward to creating another 200, 300, or maybe even 400 videos in this series. But that's enough out of me. Let's go ahead and get to the video. I've played tons of games throughout my life, and for the most part, I remember every single major moment that involved video gaming, be it with my family, my friends, or just by myself. Now I love celebrating milestones, and the 10 Games series has been my most successful and most produced series, with this being the 100th episode. I wanted to take the time to break into who I am, open up the doors of vulnerability, and really just be me. No fancy cuts, no extra extreme humor, just me talking about 10 of the most important video gaming memories that I have from my life. I will say before we get into this, I will be covering topics that might throw you off. I have no filter when it comes to transparency in life, and as such, there is a story about unaliving yourself, suicide if you will. Not for me, but for someone else. And I do want to warn you about that. If you're alright with that, then let's begin. Yeah, get the jokes out. Fort smashed his wife, now he's got 5 kids. Well, luckily for you, this is Super Smash Brothers related. Now, I never took Amanda as a gamer. In fact, I never really pitched the idea of playing games with her until one day in conversation, she mentioned she used to play Smash Melee competitively. It blew my fucking mind. Kinda turned me on, too. She loved playing as Princess Peach. So one day on stream, I decided to invite her, and she kicked the shit out of me on stream, playing a game I spent easily 100+ hours on. It was nice because it was the first time my community got to meet Amanda, and it was where her moniker of Fortefyre was born, literally kicking my ass in Super Smash Brothers.
Ah, stop!
You still won. Oh shit.
What? Too easy. Bye, girl.
Bye, bitch. I finally won.
Stream over. Fort, you just lost. I'm aware!
We would like to play.
Growing up, I had a Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, PS2, and a Nintendo 64. Those were mine. And my sister had her own series of console. Off the top of my head, she had a Game Boy SP and a PlayStation 1. But then Nintendo began this wild ad campaign with 2 weird Japanese businessmen showing up to people's doors and saying, "We would like to play." And it really piqued my interest. For once, people could play games that didn't involve sitting down and endlessly pushing buttons. You could swing a bat, bowl a ball, swing a sword, all by using these hand motions. And it's wireless. Hell yeah. The problem is, we were poor. When I was in the 10th grade, my parents declared bankruptcy, and because of that, I never expected my parents to get me anything. But one day, they surprised me with a fucking Wii! Hell yeah! I don't remember what day it was, but it was a day where the New Orleans Saints were playing the Chicago Bears in a wild card match. So my mom asked me if I wanted to stay home and play with my Wii, and I was like, no. So I went to the party, came home, played the shit out of it for hours. It was a good memory. When I started really getting into Final Fantasy, I was stationed at Kunsan Air Base, Republic of Korea, or South Korea, an isolated remote assignment for the United States Air Force located in the middle west of South Korea. I didn't bring any video game consoles with me because you can't really bring a lot of stuff there. So all I had was my computer, my TV, and my phone. At the time, my phone was an iPhone, and luckily for me, the Apple Play Store had Final Fantasy for sale, so I said screw it, and I played it. From that point on, I fell in love with the series. 1 was great, 2 was amazing, 3 was shit, 4 was decent, 5 was shit, Then one day I started playing Final Fantasy VI on stream. From point A to point B, Final Fantasy VI was an experience. You had highs, you had lows, you had topics that I had never seen in a video game before, at least not represented in the way you would normally see it. We had tremendous depth in the characters and how they were portrayed. Their stories were believable, and the first time ever I invested mental energy into giving a shit about those that I control. The game flow is phenomenal. The story keeps you engaged. Sometimes you're mad, sometimes you're sad, and sometimes your heart's racing. To me, beating Final Fantasy VI marked the end of a journey, and it's a very special game to me. Prior to streaming, this was the longest game I had ever played. It had Disney characters, which I thought was epic, and it had these people from Final Fantasy. What's that? Back then, I didn't know. Hell, I didn't even know it was a JRPG, nor did I know what the term was. I thought it was a hack and slash action adventure game with interesting characters that stemmed from worlds I knew from my childhood. Tarzan, The Little Mermaid, Nightmare Before Christmas, Aladdin, you name it, it was there. And I enjoyed it so much. Beating this game set a precedent that no matter how tough a game could be, I can beat it. And I do try my hardest to beat games, but sometimes I just hit a mental breaking point. To me, Kingdom Hearts 1 was excellent. Then they decided to continuously fuck up the storyline by adding off-the-wall tangents and spreading games over multiple mediums, and I lost complete and total interest in the franchise. Back when I was a kid, there was a few different ways you learned about new games. You could see a commercial on TV, you could overhear folks bragging about it at school or on the bus, or if you were lucky, you owned Nintendo Power or EGM or PlayStation Magazine, whatever was available. But for me, the one way I learned about new games was demo kiosks. At one point in time, all major electronics retailers that sold video games had these badass demo kiosks, or TVs mounted high up in the air above the display case. In fact, that probably caused one of the major issues with my neck, just being gobsmacked and laser focused on playing a game that I would likely never own. Ocarina of Time though, I saw it everywhere. EB Games, Babbage's, Macy's, Walmart, Target, Funko Land, KB Toys, and now I owned it. This was the first true 3D world that I was enveloped in. Super Mario 64 was whatever. I mean, I knew Mario, I played Mario as a kid, so seeing him jumping around and dealing with a nonsense camera, it really didn't impress me. But Ocarina of Time, with its visuals, its music, the story, Hyrule itself seemed massive to me. Hell, it took a whole day in game just to walk across Hyrule Field. Every isolated area seemed so interesting. It was a great game and I played it for a long time, but never could get past the Water Temple. That all changed when I was a young 22-year-old and I decided to play it through. No walkthrough, just trying my damnedest. And I did. It's one of those moments where you validate your past, all your struggles, you accomplish something, and that's a magical feeling. In 2018, I traveled with my wife to Japan. It was something I wanted to do for a long time, and plus I was big into retro gaming, so I decided, let's go on a journey. So we did. We spent a week in Tokyo and 3 days each in Kyoto and Osaka, but something special happened to me when I was in Tokyo. Amanda gets jet-lagged easily. She kicks ass daily as a mother of 5 kids, even though we only had 3 at the time, and to be fair, this was probably the first silent night's sleep she had gotten in a while. I knew that where my hotel was really close to Akihabara, which is known for having, at least at the time, epic arcade towers. So I walked into a Sega arcade tower and started playing games. It was insane. You could see businessmen fresh off the train with their briefcase in tow, absolutely annihilating dancing games. You could smell the cheap cigarettes. There was Tekken, Street Fighter, everything you could imagine. But I noticed one game that I had never played before, House of the Dead 3. But it was being played by an older man, so in order to be respectful, I just waited close to the machine. But he was struggling. I had a pocket full of yen, so I walked up and I asked him, "Sumimasen," or "Excuse me, can I join you?" He looked me up and down and said in a soft voice, "Okay, Now, if you've ever seen a Japanese person play a video game in Japan, it's 100% business. They do it excellently. But I'm from the land of cheeseburgers, so when it came time to fight a boss, I just slammed the trigger with my finger, not giving a fuck about accuracy, and he noticed this, and he started doing it too, laughing the whole time. And together, we beat House of the Dead 3. And we jumped up, and he said, "Yatta, sugoi!" And he gave me a high five, and we started talking, and in conversation, I mentioned that I was looking for a great ramen place. Not a busy place, just a good one. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "Follow me. I know just the place." We left the arcade, we walked for a little bit, eventually we stumbled down an alleyway, and he gestured into this place that was sweating humidity, which screams, "This ramen is about to change my life." And I went in, but I noticed that he was walking away. So I said, "Excuse me, would you like to join me?" I think it kind of caught him off guard, but he nodded his head and cracked a smile. And we went in and we sat together. I got to know him. His name was Yoshio, and he told me about a month ago that his wife died. And with him not having any kids, he's been very lonely. And that, unfortunately, he was going to play one last game before ending everything. He told me about him and his wife and how they loved playing games together, from shogi to Tetris to Puyo Puyo. His English was broken, but we shared a common passion for video games. He showed me a picture of his late wife that he kept in his wallet, and he propped it up next to the little pot of matcha or green tea that you tend to see in restaurants in Japan. And we ate and we drank. I paid for the food. I gave him a hug. And guys, let me tell you, I've never felt a hug with so much compassion, so much thanks, so much offloading of sadness. And he said, "Thank you, friend." And we went our separate ways. Sometimes I wonder how Yoshio is doing, and I wonder if he's still alive and if he still goes and plays games with that picture in his wallet. My older two kids were the two who made me a father, Tommy and Faith. They're great kids that taught me how to be a good dad, how to be patient, and in many ways, it was kind of a culture shock to magically be involved with people who already experienced major events in their life. It was almost like I missed milestones. Now, both Tommy and Faith had already played games, so with Aria, I had the opportunity to introduce her to video gaming. Bear in mind, I had a wall of games. She could have picked anything, but for whatever reason, she wanted to check out my brand new Odyssey 2, and she chose KC Munchkin, a Pac-Man clone. It was so simple, and I had time to take a picture of that moment, and here it is. Aria to this day is the one kid who cares tremendously about preserving video game history, and she always asks me questions, asks me what I'm gonna stream, watches the stream sometimes, and tries to tackle the games I play on a regular basis. She also consistently checks the video performance for the few videos she's released, be it the top 10 educational NES games, her top 10 favorite games, or Through Her Eyes, which is her own series. She'll walk up to me and say that she has 60 comments. She'll ask me, "Is that more than you got?" And while most of my videos get around 100, 200 plus comments, no matter what, she has more than me. And that's what being a good dad is all about. I'll link her videos in the description below and at the end of the video if you want to check them out and say hi to her. She does read every comment. Kian was my second biological child, and he's always been my little buddy. He much preferred to watch YouTube like LankyBox or other generalized forms of brain rot like Cocomelon, but one day he asked to play a video game. Much like Aria, he had complete access to whatever he wanted, but he chose the Atari 2600, and at the time, I was focusing on Konami games, so he saw Frogger on my desk. Again, I was lucky enough to grab a video of this occurring, and I'll let it play real quick.
Alright, you gotta reset the game now. Pull it down. There you go.
Music. This is a good music.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, you got hit by the car.
It's the green one. Oh, I got past the green one. No.
Oh, the semi truck got you.
Oh, a white truck.
The white truck, that's right.
Those are cars.
Yeah. We can't run into the car.
Kian prefers novelty games and fighting games, but I have considered making his own series known as Kian's Console Showcase, and if that's something that you'd be interested in, feel free to let me know down below. I do want to make it clear, I don't force my kids to make videos. They oftentimes ask me to make videos, and as a parent who knows how cruel the internet is, I'm oftentimes reserved because I don't want their feelings to be hurt, or for them to be exposed to something that they shouldn't. But I've warmed up to the idea of it under my terms, so I'm open to more videos involving my kids. Going to the arcades wasn't something I did often because where I lived, there really wasn't a great arcade, not to the capacity that you would have seen in the 80s. In fact, there were 3 arcades I remember from my childhood, 2 of which were in the Mall of Louisiana in Baton Rouge through the years, and 1 at the Southland Mall in Houma, Louisiana, which is where my grandparents lived. But sometimes if we were lucky, we'd go to Pizza Hut. And I had to be about 5 or 6, and there was this Galaga Pac-Man combo arcade machine. Dad told me that was his favorite arcade game, and me being a snot-nosed kid, I asked if I could give it a try too. The problem was, the Pizza Hut was packed. There were no stools or gaming chairs, and I was short, so Dad held me up as I played Galaga, and I kept playing and playing and playing. We went through at least $2 worth of attempts. Now my dad, rest his soul, was incredibly injured when he was in his 20s. He fell off of a bridge and broke damn near every bone in his body, and through years of therapy and a spinal fusion, he was able to work and, more importantly, walk. So while he was holding me up, I could feel him losing strength, but he never dropped me. He never made me stop playing. When I was done, I apologized for playing so much and weighing more than I used to, a kid making a joke. But another quirk about my dad was that he was a man of few words. He didn't really give me much life advice, and all the love I seemed to receive was tough love. To put that into perspective, I don't remember him telling me at all that he was proud of me until I graduated from basic training when I was 18. But on that day, Dad knelt down to eye level with me, and he said something that didn't make sense to me. Happiness is weightless. You'll get it one day. It took me a long time to understand that. Many years of carrying my kids on my neck that's injured at holiday parades to understand that happiness is truly weightless. Christmas of 1998 was an epic-ass day. I mean, when you're a kid, most Christmases are epic, but this one in particular was extra epic. We all have memories, right? But there are some memories that allow us to close our eyes and remember every single detail. I recall the breakfast for that day, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It was cold outside and the house was so warm. My grandmother loved potpourri and it smelled like evergreen in the house. Under the tree was a big-ass box with tons of smaller boxes. Now, me being a kid, I went for the big-ass box, and sure enough, there it was, my own video game console that I didn't have to share with my dad anymore. This one was mine, the Nintendo 64. Now, the bundle came with Super Mario 64, but the other boxes contained Super Mario Kart, Banjo-Kazooie, Extreme G, and Twisted Edge Snowboarding. It was a great haul. I ripped into all of the games, checked them all out, and I enjoyed my Christmas. We have a tradition where 3 days after Christmas the tree comes down, and while we were picking up everything, I noticed something under the couch. A present had slipped off the stack and was tucked underneath the couch. This game was Ocarina of Time, a game that to this day remains as one of my most cherished games to have ever experienced. And that's it for today. What did you think of this episode? Feel free to tell me down below and share your most important retro gaming memories. I know the community will love to hear it, and I know that I will too. I do want to say thank you for enabling me to continue with making 10 game entries, as well as helping me reach 7,000 subscribers. I have no doubt that we'll meet that 8,000 subscriber milestone. While these memories I have are just elements of the past that I can recall, your contributions on the other side of the monitor are paving the way for my own contemporary memories. And when I look back on this day 20 years from now, I'll be thankful for every single one of you. As always, from my family to your family, good energy, good vibes. Fortefyre out.